Hey Krista. So I haven't started doing anything yet. I've just opened this, so I don't know what the problem is. So let's figure it out together. So I wanted to show you a couple things. First, like this is really hard to understand, and so if you get to this, you're like, I can't see what any of these bones mean. I don't know if it even looks like this in yours. If we go to display and we go object display, we can change the size. Joint size right there under animation, and then we can actually change the size of those joints to make them more visible, and we get a better understanding of the hierarchy. And so to me it looks like your hierarchy is all in the correct place. So if your hierarchy is in the correct place, then it's probably a skinning issue. So if I grab that and rotate it, that's looking good. Okay, but that's not. Okay, and that's not. Oh wait, no, that's right. Okay. So let me kind of show you what's happening here. So the reason this part isn't going with it when we rotate, and so we're going to right click on, or I'm going to click E, or hold down E and then click and drag, and I'm going to set this to either local. Gimbal's fine, but local's fine, but if you set it to world, it's going to set it to the world orientation. So and so when we rotate it in this angle, the hand's going with it because the hand is skinned completely to 1. Right, like this is, if we go look at our skinning on this, it's completely white. Its only controller is the wrist, right? Whereas you probably don't want that. You probably also want a little bit of the forearm to be affecting it too. And the reason for that is because I want that part that goes up into the forearm to stay there when the arm twists, right? So if I grab this and rotate it, and that part comes out through there, that's because it's not skinned any to this joint, right? And so if I grab here, I think I can go to animation, skin, and I can do add influence. But I think I have to pick the joint first. Like that, skin, add influence, right? And now I get some weird results. Why did it bump it up there? Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. This is how I would probably treat this. So you got a couple of other things going on. So that bumped it out there, and I think I know the reason. But now what you would get is that's going to stay in there because it's being influenced by that joint as well, right? And that's, I think, also what's going on here with your forearm. Why it's not bending is because if we look at our skin waste tool, only the shoulder is influencing it, right? And we need a bend in it. But you're getting some weird deformation, and I think some of that is coming from some history. Also, for some reason, there's a skin cluster on it. I don't know where that's coming from. Oh, I'm sorry, skin cluster, not a cluster. It's a skin. Okay. Okay. So the problem with the leg, though, is a little different. Let me hide this so you can see this information. So if we look at the leg where it's rotating, the reason it's rotating up through there is because this is just a pivot point. Right? This joint is just a pivot point for it, right? And so you're going to want that pivot point to be located where you actually want it to rotate. And so with a real character, like a human, their hips are kind of like right up here where you have that listed. But this character, you want it to pivot at this center point here, like we're almost where that little cross hair is, right? Like if we were, repositioning the pivot point, that's where we'd want it to be. So I'm going to show you roughly what I would do there. I think what I'm actually going to do more than anything is I'm just going to unscan everything. So you have in our outliner here, head and the body. Just going to grab all of it and say skin, and detach skin. Right. So nothing should be skinned now, and I'm going to reselect all that. And I want to make sure I'm going to freeze transformations and delete history on all of these. So I'm going to go edit. Let's do freeze transformations first. Modify freeze transformations, and what that's going to do is it's going to wipe out these values that are on these objects, because some of them have some rotates on them, some of them may even have some scale values on them, and that may cause some weird deformations later, right? So modify freeze transformations. It's going to wipe all that out. Edit, delete by type, history. And now these are like new objects. And then I'm also going to grab all those objects, grab a hair in the head, and I'm going to grab the top skeleton joint, this root. Okay. And then I'm going to go skin, smooth bind, and I'm going to check my options here. So I usually set it to joint hierarchy. There's a couple of different methods you can try, and you're going to get different results. Let's try a heat map. And then distance, I usually set my max influences to 4. I forgot something though. I'm going to hit close. I'm not going to do this because the actual issue is the location with this is actually the location of your head, right? And so I can hit W and move that, but if I do that, the leg's going to go down to the floor, right? And then I have to bring the foot back up, right? So if I hit insert, it'll allow us to just move that bone, right? Now I'm going to go to my right view, right? And then I can use that to kind of position that where I want it, right? Before I do that, I'm actually just going to go ahead and grab both of those and do those together. So if I go to right view, position both of those right about there. In all honesty, with this character, I'm not really sure this joint is needed. Well, maybe it is. It's for. I mean, that part's probably not going to move separately, right? So I would probably go ahead and delete this joint. It's just it's just one extra thing to scan. And so what you want to do here is make sure that all of your joints are in the right position. I think that they are. The only other question might be this one. So if I go to my front view, I don't want to go to my right view. Now look here, you'll want this to be in the middle too, because you're going to twist it, right? You're going to rotate it like this, and when you do, you want that head to rotate, you know, where the head should rotate. So I'm guessing that's closer to the center, right? Also, like when you rotate the head backward and forward, you gotta ask yourself, how are you gonna skin that? And if you wanted to rotate it that point right there, that's cool. But if you don't, you may want to put it down to here, that way it can rotate that base. My guess is you're probably gonna skin it to where this is sort of bound to the chest a little bit, and you get a little bit of stretch in there. But that's just my guess. Okay, so we're gonna get a little bit of repositioning there. Probably also want to think, and this may be a little bit of trial and error, of where you want these ankles to rotate, if you want those ankles to rotate. Because really, if you're just wanting to roll the toe up on that, yeah, you got it mostly there. You may not even ever edit that. But, you know, how that foot bends is going to cause some of this to collapse back there. So you may want that to be more like. So you maybe want it to be a little more like that, and I don't know, maybe you don't though. Like I don't know where you want that pivot point to happen. So, and some of this is just trial and error and experience with it. So don't sweat too much. But right now that pivot point is happening right there, and the real character, his ankle, will probably be a little bit more like that. Right? Also, these toes are happening right there, which means that's the origin. It's going to rotate around that point, right? And so I would think it would actually be a little bit more like, maybe like that, right? And if it helps to visualize another bone out through helps to just have have one that goes all the way out to the end and just call it end, like toe end or something like that. Let's go to perspective here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and reskin this again. So again, I'm going to grab all the mesh, that, the top, and so skin, smooth bind, and I'm doing joint hierarchy. That means it's going to select this top joint and all of the hierarchy underneath it, and it's just going to skin it to the pretty much the closest distance. But heat map also does a little bit of a different one. Geodesic voxel does something different. Heat map seems to work all right. Let's try it and see what it gets. Joint hierarchy, dual quaternion, classic linear. Oh. I don't know about that one. So let's just try it and see. We can always change those things. Okay, contains 3 triangles with an area less than, oh, ooh. So it found some mesh issues. So let's go ahead and grab this. Probably we could probably get away with it just by scanning it differently, but you can get rid of those probably with this mesh cleanup. And we're going to get rid of lamina faces, non-manifold geometry, and edges with 0 length, faces with 0 geometry area. If it clean up, we'll see it actually get rid of some stuff. Again, I'll actually probably go ahead and do edit by type history again, and then modify these transformations again just to make sure we got everything. Go back to animations, skin, smooth bind. See what we got. Insert again to get out of that. Let's see. That didn't work. Okay. So the heat map actually worked pretty well on that. It just doesn't do that though. I'm going to do a different skin. So instead of using that heat map, let's just go ahead and use closest distance. Although, let's just see what geodesic voxel does. Oh, it's because they're hollow. Oh, Greg, you silly. I didn't realize that. Okay, that's alright. So that means something else skinned to the legs. Right? But that's okay. We could make changes to that pretty easily. And so let's, like I said, that's not bad. Get a little bit of weirdness going on right here at the belt buckle. Maybe we'll want to skin that a little differently. Let's undo all that again. Let's try a different, let's go ahead and try that heat map thing. No, the heat map didn't work. Let's do maybe closest distance. Binding. So I know we're going to get some weirdness here, but those are the ones that are closest in distance. Not bad. I mean, no, it's bad, but at least it worked, right? So we get here. Definitely need some work. And need some work. Okay. So, time to introduce you to the wonderful world of skinning. You're going to hate it. Everybody does. So I'll try to show you a little bit of like how I work. If I right click on these objects individually, the best way to do this is to actually go ahead and save this file out, select all of your joints here if you can. And hit S to get us a keyframe there on that spot, right? Make sure that doesn't work to select it that way. It's only going to select the parent. So if you select the root and go modify, edit, and then select hierarchy, it'll select the entire thing and hit S, right? So now I have that there. Now if you put a little bit of animation on this thing, just go ahead and animate that up, maybe animate that back, and then, so now we get this animation, we can start seeing what we're getting. I'll do the inverse of that, animate that forward, and this back. Right, we have this animation happening now. Now we just need to make the skinning work with it. Right? If I scrub through here, I can see this animation. And I usually do sort of an animation test on the whole character. Like I'll do that, and I'll get him back to his idle pose. So I know how the legs work. And then from like there, I'll hit S, maybe through 60. I'm just going to go ahead and set some keyframes in here, and then just on these keyframes I'm going to manipulate it a little bit, right? We'll do this, maybe we'll go back to, and we'll still need to test the way it bends here too, right? Skinning just takes a long time. So we're going to go skin weights here, find out our tools menu. You can see that for some reason the wrist has some influence. I don't know what's happening. Seems like everything has a little bit of influence on it. Why is that not showing up right? see if I'm running that wrong. Let's do one. Take it back to the base. Skinning. There we go. For some reason, maybe having it set to 3 was giving me some issues. So this is what I'm looking for. So basically, my left thigh, which is the one that should be controlling almost everything, isn't controlling very much. Right? So I don't know if you want an ankle bend there or not, but basically what I usually do is I say, no, I want it to control almost everything. And so, you know, if we see that, it's not. But if I just go ahead and flood everything with 1, and a value of 1 here on the value, and hit flood, it's just basically going to set all of the weights. Everything is going to go white. All of the white area is being influenced. Or thigh 1 is influencing all of the white area, right? So if I want to add a little bit of influence on the ankle, I can paint that in. And so I have, if I hit B, I can resize my brush, make it smaller, and I could start saying, no, I want the ankle to affect all of this, right? And I want the toe maybe to affect these parts here, but I haven't painted that in yet. I want to paint the ankle affecting all of this. Right. So this is why it would be important to have an animation on the ankle and toe as well. I kind of forgot that existed. So the ankle will affect all of that, right? And then I get L foot, maybe that'll just affect these front areas, right? Problem with this is with painting, you kind of miss some stuff, like that may not be all the way at 1 right there. It may be like 0.5 or something, or 0.9 or something like that, 0.8. And so sometimes you get some stuff and there'll be really weird little like areas that don't seem like they're following it correctly. So skin weighting is something that everybody fights with. It's the UVs of animation. Okay. And so let's say we have that. Maybe paint a little bit there as well. Right. So now that leg is working for the most part correctly. Right? It's rotating at the right spot. If I were to go out of this paint weights tool and wiggle the toe, what do we get? A little bit of what we're looking for. I probably want to smooth that out a little bit right there, right? So I'll go back in here. Oh, and I'll see, do we want to do anything with the ankle? I don't know. It's up to you if you actually even want to animate that part. Let's go back into my skin weights, and so we can do a little bit of this like smoothing through there to ease it out, but the smoothing just kind of redistributes that weight to the other joints it thinks it should go to. Oh, really? So, I guess that's all we're going to talk about today. So, hopefully that makes sense, but using the smooth and then there's a weight table that will allow you to adjust it individually, but I don't know. Go back up here. No, not max. Anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and kill this video because I'm doing stupid things now. But yeah, look at that. See, because we can also use the weight table in Maya, which is let's create a. Come on, Maya. Create a sphere here, right? Let's do the skeleton joints. Made a couple joints. Select all that. Select mesh, skin, smooth bind, whatever. And so each of these are affecting it in some way or another, right? They're getting a little bit of influence on it. This one's going to get the entire thing, but you want this one to be able to adjust it in some way, right? So what you can do is you can go ahead and select this, and under, I gotta find it, Windows, Relationship Editor, General Editor. So under General Editors, there's this Component Editor. I'll open up in the other window. And this will tell you all of these details about all of the vertices on this, including which ones are skinned to which joints. Right? So if I go in here and grab these vertices right here, I'm going to isolate it so I can see it. Grab all these vertices here, right? It'll tell you that one is it's weighted 0.93 to vertex 83 is weighted 0.93 to joint 1 and 0.66 to joint 2. Let's say I wanted them all to be weighted, or I wanted like the top half of these or whatever to be weighted, or let's just say I want all of these that I've selected to be weighted completely to joint 2. I can highlight that and put in 1, and now they're all weighted to joint 2, right? And so now when I grab this and move it around, I get a little bit more individual control on that, right? And then if I wanted to go in here, my paint skin weights tool, I can still do some detail in there. You can also flood smooth. This is something I do not that often, but if I flood smooth, I get a little bit of a rounded, right? It like starts to average it out, and The hard thing about that is when you have too many joints and you start smoothing, it's going to start putting that weight on other things. Like it may put like some weight on your cheek for some reason. It may put it on your toe bone, you know, and you just got to watch out for that weirdness that happens in skinning. You will be pulling your hair out eventually. Skinning is just a pain in the butt. So I'm sorry. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.